The Unyielding Hands. The saga of a craftsman forging his legacy. In the tranquil, often overlooked town of Willow Creek, nestled beside a meandering river that whispered tales of bygone eras, lived a young man named Elias Thorne. From his earliest days, Elias was captivated by the tactile world around him. While other children played tag in the dusty streets, Elias would often be found in his grandfather's cluttered workshop, mesmerized by the transformation of raw materials into objects of beauty and utility. His grandfather, a renowned woodcarver whose pieces adorned the homes of the town's gentry, was his first mentor, patiently guiding his small hands as they tentatively shaped wood. However, Elias's heart truly belonged to the earth. He was drawn to the malleable nature of clay, the way it yielded to the touch and held the imprint of the maker's soul. He would spend hours by the riverbank, digging up clumps of damp clay, experimenting with its texture, and attempting to mold simple forms. His early attempts were, to put it mildly, disastrous. Lopsided bowls collapsed in on themselves, misshapen figures crumbled before they could dry, and his rudimentary attempts at glazing often resulted in dull, uneven finishes. His family, hard-working farmers with little appreciation for artistic pursuits, viewed Elias's passion with a mixture of bemusement and concern. They worried about his future, about how he would earn a living shaping mud when there were fields to be tilled and harvests to be brought in. The meager income Elias earned from selling his occasional, flawed creations barely covered the cost of materials, let alone contributed to the household. The local potter, a gruff old man named Silas, was equally discouraging. He saw Elias as an amateur dabbling in a craft that demanded years of rigorous training and unwavering dedication. Silas's dismissive remarks, often delivered with a snort and a shake of his head, echoed the unspoken doubts of Elias's own mind. Yet, Elias possessed an unyielding spirit, a stubborn refusal to let failure extinguish the burning ember of his passion. He saw each collapsed pot, each uneven glaze, not as a defeat, but as a lesson etched in earth. He meticulously analyzed his mistakes, trying to understand the nuances of the clay, the vagaries of the kiln, and the subtle art of glazing. He would spend hours observing Silas at work, his eyes keenly following the older potter's every move, absorbing knowledge like the dry earth soaking up rain. Silas, though initially resistant, couldn't entirely ignore the young man's persistent presence and his earnest, albeit often clumsy, efforts. Material scarcity was another significant hurdle. The cost of clay, glazes, and firing the kiln was a constant strain on Elias's meager resources. He often had to choose between buying food and purchasing essential materials. He scavenged for discarded wood to fuel his makeshift kiln, and he experimented with locally sourced minerals to create his own glazes, often with unpredictable and disappointing results. There were times when despair threatened to engulf him, when the sheer weight of his failures and the lack of support seemed insurmountable. During these dark periods, Elias would find solace in the ancient pottery shards he occasionally unearthed along the riverbank. These fragments, remnants of a forgotten era, spoke of the enduring power of the craft, of the ability of simple earth to transcend time and circumstance. They reminded him that the journey of a craftsman was often long and arduous, marked by countless trials, but that the potential for creating something lasting and meaningful was always there. He continued toiling, his hands becoming calloused and stained with clay, his clothes perpetually dusted with the fine particles of his medium. He experimented relentlessly, pushing the boundaries of his skill, venturing beyond traditional forms and glazes. He drew inspiration from the natural world around him, the sinuous curves of the river, the intricate patterns of leaves, the rugged textures of bark. He tried to capture these fleeting moments of beauty in the enduring form of clay. Years passed in this cycle of experimentation, failure, and incremental progress. Slowly, painstakingly, Elias's skills began to mature. His hands gained a newfound dexterity, his understanding of the clay deepened, and his glazes acquired a subtle richness and depth. His pieces, though still humble, began to possess a unique character, a distinctive voice that set them apart. Then came a turning point. A traveling merchant, known for his discerning eye for local crafts, stumbled upon Elias's small workshop. He was immediately struck by the raw beauty and the nascent talent evident in Elias's work. He saw beyond the occasional imperfection and recognized the passion and dedication that infused each piece. The merchant offered Elias a modest commission, an opportunity to showcase his work beyond the confines of Willow Creek. This small act of recognition was a lifeline for Elias. It provided him with the financial means to acquire better materials and a renewed sense of purpose. He poured all his energy into fulfilling the commission, meticulously crafting each piece, imbuing it with the lessons he had learned and the beauty he had observed. The merchant's venture proved successful. Elias's pottery, with its earthy tones and organic forms, resonated with a clientele seeking authenticity and handcrafted quality. Orders began to trickle in, slowly at first, then with increasing frequency. Elias's small workshop, once a place of solitary struggle, began to hum with activity. He hired a young apprentice, eager to share his knowledge and passion. However, success brought its own set of challenges. There was the pressure to meet deadlines, the temptation to compromise on quality for the sake of quantity, and the constant need to innovate and stay ahead of the evolving tastes of the market. Elias resisted these pressures. He remained true to his artistic vision, insisting on the integrity of his craft and the quality of his materials. He understood that true artistry lay not in mass production, but in the individual touch, in the unique story that each piece told. He continued to experiment, his curiosity undiminished by success. He delved into the history of pottery, studying ancient techniques and forms, seeking inspiration from the masters of the past. He incorporated these influences into his own work, blending tradition with his unique contemporary sensibility. His pieces evolved, becoming more refined, more expressive, yet always retaining the earthy essence that had defined his early work. Elias Thorne, the boy who had once struggled to mold a simple bowl, became a celebrated potter. His creations were sought after by collectors and galleries, his name synonymous with quality and artistry. Yet, despite his fame, he never forgot the arduous journey that had brought him there. He remembered the countless failures, the discouraging words, the gnawing hunger, and the unwavering belief that had kept him going. In his later years, Elias established a pottery school in Willow Creek, eager to nurture the next generation of artisans. He taught his students not only the technical skills of the craft but also the importance of perseverance, the beauty of imperfection, and the profound satisfaction that came from shaping raw earth with one's own hands. He would often tell them his own story, the story of the unyielding hands that had weathered countless storms to finally forge a legacy in clay. He showed them that the path of a craftsman was not always smooth, but that the rewards of dedication and passion were immeasurable, leaving an indelible mark on the world, one carefully shaped piece at a time. Thank you for listening.